Now, all my life, I have learned from the folks who have been around. When I was a kid, I hung out with folks who are way up in their 70s, and I've always enjoyed the company of people who have learned about life. And we're going to look back today and go visit some of those people that I've learned so much from. As a kid growing up in rural Kentucky, I found myself seeking companionship and knowledge from the old-timers. When I sought to tap into their outdoor wisdom, I found that in every case, they picked up on my genuine interest and were happy to share their knowledge. Most of these gentlemen were hardened by the Great Depression and told stories of sacrifice and hardship. And I heard many stories of having just a few shells or bullets and using the old 22 or 12 gauge to bring home dinner. Now, most of these men had spent their lives in the coal mines or on the farm and had worked every day of their lives. Many of these old-timers I latched onto were retired and worked on their gentlemen's farms and hunted and fished whenever they took a notion. I was lucky enough to be invited into this elite club, and I treasured every minute and hung on every word. My good friend Dexter Wilburn would load up his walker dog, Julie, call me, and we'd head to Smith Branch for a little squirrel hunting. Now, Julie was a first-class coon dog, but an even better squirrel dog. After hunting with Dexter and Julie for years, Dexter asked me if I'd like to buy Julie, and I sure enough did. Now, Dexter would tell me about quail in the old days and how to leave most of them for seed, he'd say. Just shoot a few for dinner and leave the rest. He was one of the first conservationists. He told me about how a gentleman hunts, field etiquette, if you will. He'd speak of game hogs and fellows who would walk fast and shoot first, try to take their limit and yours. No party hunting for Dexter. Now, I ran into a bunch of these old-timers in my youth, and a lot of them are gone now, and I sure miss them. Tonight, we're going to talk about remembering those folks who had an impact on your life. Since I've been with Kentucky Afield, that tradition carries on. I still get to search out and find these great guys who really share their secrets for the great outdoors, and a lot of them aren't with us anymore. And let's visit some of those guys that we really enjoyed hanging out with. And going way back, we hunted with a fellow who was 91 years old. His name was Willie Penn, and he kept us in stitches. Was you cutting in on all these guys' girlfriends?
Well, I'm not a bragging, but I could have went with any of them.
Could you?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the trip I took with Bruce Midkiff.
This is a three-way swivel.
He was a former state record holder with a big blue cat, and I caught a huge flathead with him one time.
How big is that fish?
We'll find out in a minute. He's history now.
Oh, golly. How big is that fish?
You weigh 50.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Here's John Carr, who we spent a little time with on Harrington Lake.
You can hear it pop. You don't have to look at it.
And man, what a voice.
When I was a little bitty baby, my mama would rock me in the cradle in them old cotton fields back home. In them old cotton fields back home.
And what a fella.
How that? That's what I used to sing my great-grandbabies to sleep by.
And anybody who ever had a bird dog in central Kentucky, I guarantee you knew who Red Herod was.
And a pup is just like a kid going to first grade. He's got to go take a step at a time. And
Doug Travis, who worked for the Department of Fish and Wildlife for many, many years, had a lot of great stories.
Well, I grew up like any other country boy in a little town. Some of the first things I can remember is going with Dad fishing. I was into the outdoors all my life.
And Steve Fugate. They called him Speedy, and he was one fine guy, and enjoyed hanging out with him in the duck blind. Now, a lot of the reasons I sought these fellas out because they're carrying on the old ways and carrying on traditions.
That's a dingbat.
Yeah.
The creek chub made that along about 1937.
What'd you call me?
A dingbat.
Here's Charlie Hines, who makes old-type lures and keeps that tradition alive.
I'm back in the saddle again.
And here's A.B. Connolly, who likes to make powder horns and old guns.
I've been in this business since 1959. And so, I've learned an awful lot.
I think we appreciate as we get older the way things used to be and the quality, and these things endure for some reason. You know what, A.B.? The older I get, farther back I want to go. Now, if you watch our show, you know that we love to take the game that we've taken in the field and cook it up. And some of my greatest inspirations have been Uncle Russ
We're
Chittenden.
going to break the skin just with our thumb here over that thing. Get a hole started in. We're going to pull this skin back on both sides.
Who really can cook up some fine stuff. And my first cooking inspiration was Raoul Dupree, who was a French chef and who showed me many, many secrets in the kitchen and was just a wonderful man from Lyon, France.
Said my fils, my boy.
Oh, okay. I'm your son.
You said my boy.
That's good. That's good. So maybe Kentucky Afield will go to Morocco and hunt peccary. Well, don't count on it, but it could happen. Let's go. On y va?
On y va.
On y va. Let's go. And from Greece,
You can surprise your girlfriend or your wife.
Maria Bell showed us how to cook some fish.
When I talk to schools about whole fish, that's what we eat in Greece, they get terrified. But here is a whole tilapia. And one of the girls told me, oh my God, it has eyes. Of course. Fish has eyes and beautiful eyes too.
And here's old Uncle Freddie.
I just got through washing my hands, by the way.
Cooking something up in the smoker.
Take your finger, enlarge it, and put a fresh green onion down in as far as you can.
I've found that most outdoorsmen like their music. And on Kentucky Afield, we have a whole lot of traditional music in the background. And we like to hang out with Kentucky musicians. And here's a couple of them.
Dream, 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 when I feel blue.
Here's Don Everly from way down in western Kentucky. Had a chance to meet up with him, do a little fishing and picking. What a wonderful experience. And here's Mr. J.D. Crow, a bluegrass legend.
Oh, yeah.
You got you a hog, buddy. Okay, J.D., right now, I got you on the spot. What's better, bluegrass music or striper fishing?
I tell you, it'd be a hard choice.
Who put his banjo down and picked up a fishing pole.
All right. This has got it. Yeah.
Hey, JD, are you having fun?
I'm having a ball. If I had more fun, I'd have to be twins.
And although he's still a young fella, Eddie carries on the tradition of thumb picking, and you hear him every week when the show starts and ends. Now, cooking up wild game and enjoying the great outdoors is not just for the guys.
If he measures, I'll keep 2 or 3 of these things and take them to my neighbor.
Here's Ruth Brame, who took us crappie fishing on Barkley Lake.
How are you, dear? I like...
Chartreuse?
Yep, I'm a chartreuser.
And Mildred Gobin.
I'm using heavy load shells. They kill better.
Who enjoyed her time in the field as a rabbit hunter.
I just love to be outside. I'm an outside person. Yeah. I love to watch dogs work, and I've had some pretty good ones.
And Edith Bradley's cooking us up some fried apple pies.
It's cooked in lard.
That's good stuff. Now, as we look back today and see a lot of folks who I've learned a whole lot from, you know, for you young folks out there who see an old fella sitting there whittling or talking to his friends, you know what? Don't be afraid to go up and ask them questions. These people are so full of knowledge, so wise. They have learned so much throughout their life.
My jig's hung up, and I'm trying to save my jig. It's not that I'm short on jigs, but they seem to like it, and I don't want to lose it. I'm putting a line in that spark plug. That's my bait knocker. If I don't, it works 99% of the time. The 1% that don't work, the only thing you lose is besides your jig is an old spark plug is going to throw away anyway. The weight of that just slid down there to it, and when you got it tight and you turn it loose, it goes down and it knocks it loose from the back side.
You may just walk away with just a tiny bit of their knowledge that will bring you through a tough time. And you know what? As we get towards the end of this segment, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the fact that one of my favorite people in the world, my dad, Jerry Farmer, took time out from his busy schedule when I was a kid and took me fishing.
It's about 45 years old, and it's the first one I ever had and the last one, I guess. And it's caught a lot of fish, mostly bluegill. And it's been through a lot. You've put it through a lot.
And I still call him once a week or more and ask him for advice on life. And he gives me the best advice there is. And as our good buddy Ron Ellis always says, always remember,
Suddenly, I was 12 years old again. As we waited together on daybreak in Cogan's Woods, I remembered that he said, "It's important to remember, son.
It's so important to remember."